Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey with Clarita, the podcast where we will discuss valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Subscribe now to Begin, Build, Blossom, and let's embark on your business journey. Good day. Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom. And today we have with us Jacqueline Gathers. Jacqueline is a New York State licensed home inspector and owner of Pillar to Post Home Inspections. She is the only Black female home inspector in New York City. Jacqueline is retired from the New York City Housing Authority after 30 years of service. She has expressed that she is happy to share her expertise by educating first-time home buyers on the importance of a home inspection when purchasing property. I met Jacqueline at a women's retreat that we both recently attended. It was an amazing event, and I am so glad that I got to meet her and so many other amazing women. And I am just so happy that you're joining us today on the podcast. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Okay, I'm so happy. So we are going to start with what we call rapid fire. So we will be asking you a few questions to get to know you a little better. Some of that we may have covered in the introduction, but it's still just a good way for people to get to know you some more. We try to get quick responses, but if you feel like you need to elaborate on anything, please go ahead and do so. No worries. Okay, so we'll start with one word that describes you now compared to one word that described you as a child.
Oh, I'm adventurous. I'll try anything once.
And was that the same as a child or?
Absolutely. Very curious and a talkative person. I'm still that way today.
Well, I like that. And I'm so glad that we got to talking and now we're here talking some more. So that's great. Let's start with the name of your business and what you do.
Okay, so the franchise name is Pillar to Post. We're all over the United States. We do home inspections for 1 to 4 family houses, co-ops, and condos. And we normally get involved in the transaction before the contract is signed and the buyer's offer is accepted. That's when they contact us to come in and do a home inspection.
Great. Thank you. And how many years have you been in business?
This is my 6th year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what's different about what you do now compared to what you did before?
Well, very similar. I actually retired from the New York City Housing Authority, so I was pretty familiar with the major components of a house or an apartment building, the boiler, the hot water heater, electrical, and that's very similar to what I do now with a house. I enjoy working with my clients and educating them on the major components of the home. And I work with first-time home buyers. Those are my clients, and I want to make sure that they understand the process and that we focus on the bones of the house, not the aesthetics or things that are just simply cosmetic that we don't focus on. So it's important that they understand what they should be focusing on.
Great. And what is one of the highest highs you will say that you've had in business so far?
My parents always taught me to give back to my community. And I had a client that was renting, and all of a sudden her landlord told her she had to move in 60 days. So she bought a co-op, but money was very scarce because this was a last minute thing. And when we got to the part for the home inspection, the realtor told her she has to have one done. And she said she didn't have money for it. And my spirit told me it was really important. She was an older woman. She was being displaced. And we did the inspection for her at no cost. So that made me feel really good.
I love that. And I'm sure for her that was the biggest blessing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And in terms of your lowest lows, what would you say is one of those in business so far?
Well, if you know anything about the home inspection industry, it's a white male dominated industry. There are not a lot of inspectors that look like me. And when I started out, I had a really, really hard time getting clients and getting people to hire me because I did not look like the typical home inspector. But my why was so powerful that I just kept pushing forward, pushing forward. And eventually I started to get business. But out the gate, it was very difficult for me.
I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And I would love to talk about that a little bit more in our begin segment. So we will touch on that again. Before we close out this segment, I just wanted to find out from you one book you'd recommend that we read.
The Bible.
Honestly, most people I've had on here have said the Bible. So
Mhm.
you are in very good company, and that says a lot about the Bible. Very much appreciation. So we are going to move on to the begin segment. We touch a little bit on getting your first clients and how difficult that was because of the industry, the nature of the industry in itself. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that and how you were able to get past that?
So, if you have a business, you have to believe in the business. And, I knew the inspections that we did with from pillar to post were high value, and I believed in what I was doing, and I just kept pushing. I did a lot of free inspections out the gate just so people can give me an opportunity so they could see what I did. And once they started seeing what I did and I was consistent in how I did the inspection, how I showed up, the experience for the client, okay, was very rewarding. And in business, that's what people come to you for. It's for the experience. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of home inspectors out there. If you Google it, hundreds and hundreds of home inspectors. But what separated me was the small detail and the attention that I paid to customer service. So I created a unique experience for my clients because they got the report the same day. We use a lot of technology. Our program is on an iPad. We take the pictures. There's no camera and no pad or any of that. Everything is techie. And our clients seem to like that. And it was a quick inspection. They got the report the same day. Our inspections are a little pricier than other inspectors, but people like the experience and they just continue to come back to us and refer us to other people.
Great. And in terms of being the first, well, right now you said the only black female person in doing the work that you do. How does that translate in terms of the kind of clients you have, or maybe where your acceptance into the industry itself as a whole?
Well, the way you conduct your business and the experience that you give people, you don't absorb what they feel and their opinions. Okay, I am who I am. I know I'm a good inspector. I know I'm good at what I do, and that's what I went in with. The other stuff I just didn't pay attention to. A lot of times my clients are quite diverse. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times I can feel that they felt uncomfortable with this black woman doing an inspection. But once I started doing the inspection and go and they ask me questions, they start to fall back. They start to feel more comfortable. And my gender and my ethnicity really wasn't an issue anymore. I was just a good inspector.
I love that, and I'm taking this in myself because as a a black female accountant with an accent, if I can add that, sometimes you do get that feeling of does she really know what she's talking about? So it's good to know that once you focus on your craft, you have the confidence, and you actually put in the work. That after that, all the other things becomes noise, and people they get to appreciate what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get great clients. So thanks for sharing that with us. And do you remember the first time you thought about actually starting a business?
Okay, so I have a unique story. My late husband actually bought the franchise. I really wasn't going to have anything to do with the business. He worked in corporate HR and we knew we were going to retire in our 50s and he just wanted something to do. But unfortunately, he was diagnosed with cancer. So before he could launch the franchise, he passed away. So I took the business because I inherited the business and, the franchise said, you can sell it back. But I thought about it and I said, you know what? I want to get the business up and running in his honor because he worked so hard. So my why is not money and my why is very powerful. And this is why I knew that failing wasn't an option for me. I was going to keep pushing forward because I wanted his memory to be kept. And that's how I ended up in this industry. I knew nothing about the home inspection industry prior to this.
I am so sorry to hear about your husband.
Thank you.
And in terms of choosing home inspection, you said you had no experience in that particular part of it. So, what made you choose that?
Well, he had bought the franchise. So when he bought it, I said, I didn't pay much attention because he was going to run the business. I really wasn't going to be involved in it. But when I took over the business, I started researching home, and that's when I discovered that it was a white male dominated industry. There wasn't a lot of people of color, and certainly not any women in the industry. And that I was just really surprised living in a diverse metropolitan city like New York that the industry wasn't more diverse.
Right. And you mentioned that it's a franchise. Can you give us more specifics about having a franchise? Because I'm guessing there are different rules you need to follow as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to having, a separate business of your own. So maybe just tell us a little bit about franchising and maybe even the process of obtaining a franchise. I know you said your husband did some of it, but
Mm-hmm.
as much as you can tell us would be great.
Okay, so franchising pros and cons, I'll put it that
Mm-hmm.
way.
Right.
So the pros of a franchise is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, they have their logo, they have their statements of what they're doing with the business. They have the business plan is already done. If you follow the script of a franchise, you're going to make money.
Mm.
The script is already written for you. You order your marketing material from them and all this stuff. You have a team that coaches you. And that's what's nice about a franchise. You know, they
Mhm.
set up my website. If I want to add something to my website, I just reach out to them, send them the pictures. If I have accounting issues, they help me with that. I
Mm.
always have a monthly meeting with my startup director, and he keeps me in the loop. And if I have any issues or I hit any walls, I have a whole network of people that I can reach out to that's at my fingertips.
Right.
That's the pluses of a franchise. So if you
Mhm.
follow the script and you hit walls, you have people you can reach out to. You know, the cons is that it can be costly, okay, out the gate, and you have to follow their rules. So, you know, they have strict rules, that franchise agreement. You have to read from front to back because if you don't follow their rules, your franchise can be taken from you.
Taken from you. Wow. Okay. Well, it's good to know that. And I think someone, there may be people trying to figure out should I have a franchise or not. So I think that hearing this from you can probably help them with that decision. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add about franchise, or you think we covered everything?
For me, I thought it was a good fit because I just had to follow the script. I didn't have to create a lot. And once I studied the script and I understood what I needed to do, I went forward 100%. And you're going to be successful as long as you follow the script. Okay. Every franchise is not for everyone. Certain franchises are people oriented
Hmm.
and some are like labor or skill oriented. So when picking a franchise, you have to, really have a conversation with the company and understand what their rules are, what you can do, what you can't do, and make sure that it aligns with who you are and how you're going to operate. That's really important.
That's great. And I really like the fact you mentioned about the support. I think this is huge. Having a support system goes a long way. All right. So let's move on to the bill section. What would you say is one of the biggest moves or changes you've made since you started the business?
Okay, so I've joined a lot of real estate associations because my business feeds off realtors. So I attend a lot of networking events. I've really built up my portfolio of real estate professionals. That's really important for me for visibility. I've really ramped up, and this was huge, my social media.
Mm,
Because if you're not on social media and you have a business, you do not exist, period. That wasn't comfortable for me, but I thought it was really important for me to grow my business. And I was right because a lot of people DM me on social media to speak, to do inspections, so on and so forth. They see that you're visible and that you're out there. If they don't see you on social media, again, it's difficult to grow your business without that component. So
Hmm.
once I added that component and all
Hmm.
the networking events that I attend, my business started to really, really grow. And then as I did more inspections, I got more referrals from people that liked what I did, and realtors would give another realtor in the office my information
Hmm.
and said, you know what, her and her team really does a detailed inspection, so on and so forth. So it started to grow that way. But the social media was huge because that was out of my comfort zone.
And how did you get comfortable with that? Like, did you do it on your own? Did you get somebody to help you? What does that look like?
Well, it was a combination of both. Once I got someone to help me and I got more comfortable in front of the camera. Again, this is one of the big things with having a franchise because they have a whole unit that will do reels for me and put stuff out for me, so
Oh,
on and so forth. And once I got used to it, I just started using it more. And the more I did it, the more I got comfortable.
wow, that's amazing. I would not have thought that the in franchising you get that much help. This is amazing. That's a lot of support. Wow.
Keep in mind, some of it you pay for, but I'm okay with that because it's money well spent. Yes.
That's good. Yes. I mean, the fact that it's available, even though you have to pay for it, it's
Mhm.
available and it works. That's amazing.
Mhm.
And what does a team look like for you? Internally and then just the team you work. I know you mentioned networking, so maybe that's what does that look like? But also, in terms of your business, do you still work on your own, or do you have a team that you've built over the years?
Well, I have a team. My son is my main inspector, and I'm getting ready to bring in a part timer. I don't do houses anymore. I'll do a condo here and there, but he carries the bulk of the schedule, and I'm bringing on another part timer too, so I can really kind of take myself out of it. I like doing the condo inspections because again, that gets me in front of realtors. A lot of times when we're doing an inspection, keep in mind the buyer's agent is there and the seller's agent is there. So sometimes the seller's agent, even though we're not working for her, she likes what she sees and she'll ask for a business card and we'll get business from the seller's agent. So it's all about exposure and again, being consistent in what you do, offering the same experience every time. People like that because when they see pillar to post, they know what to expect. They know we're going to be there on time.
Mm-hmm.
They know we're going to be in our uniform. They know we're going to do that inspection and pay attention to detail. And they know they're going to get the report the same day. So those consistent factors really make a difference in your business.
And what is it like working with family, having your son with you?
Well, he's OCD. Sometimes it's good because he's very curious and he likes to pay attention to details. He's actually in tech school now, so somewhere along the line I'm gonna lose him once he's done. He'll do it on the weekends and maybe evenings, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a good relationship. We talk about different aspects of the business, and you know what? It's nice to see things through a young person's eyes. That's important because certain things I don't pick up on, he picks up on. He
Mm-hmm.
said, you know, we should do this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And I said, oh, okay, I never thought of it that way. But it's two different generations. And our clients are, like I said, some are millenniums, some are, you know, empty nesters that's downsizing. So we have someone to deal with each and every one of their unique needs. And it's nice to have someone that's younger to see things through their eyes.
Yes, that's great. And that's great. I love the fact that you're able to have family as part
Mm-hmm.
of the business. And that's one thing that I want to do myself. I'm relatively new in business, but I do have plans to bring in my brother and I almost like Oprah, you got a job, you got a job. I want them to all work with me. Yes. Well, it helps that I have good family. It doesn't work with all family, of course, but I
No, no, no,
can,
no, 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 no,
yes.
no. Not all family, but the ones you can trust that are consistent and reliable because it's your brand. And that's what you have to remember. When you hire someone and you send them out there and they're doing that is your brand from the time contact is made
Hmm.
until the end of the transaction. You have to make sure that your brand is represented well because that's your reputation. And things do go wrong and they do. And we own up to it. And I get on the phone with the client and we have a conversation
Hmm.
and we work something out. But that's just life itself. And people respect that.
Right. I think so. Yeah, that's great. And, that kind of brings us to struggles a little bit because I know sometimes one of the things that keeps someone from growing is being able to have somebody else come in, to trust somebody to come into the business. So for me, I'm thinking that could be one of the struggles, letting some of that, letting some of that go to someone else. But for you, can you just tell me a little bit more about other struggles? I know we talked earlier about, just entering the industry to begin with. Maybe if you want to tell us a little bit more about the other struggles that you've encountered.
The first year I made no money.
Mm,
All the money was going out and nothing was coming in. But
right.
you know what? I had faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that by investing in my business, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's really important, that people think they're saving money by not marketing and doing it, but you're really not
Right.
because all those dollars that I put out the first year, they came back to me the second and third year because I invested in my business. You always have to invest in your business, whether it's new uniforms, a wrapped vehicle, marketing, advertising, hiring. Like I use a call center. I paid for a call center. I don't answer phones. I just felt like if a client is calling and I'm on a job, how can I do that and answer the phone? So I spent money on the call center. A lot of people don't want to, they think they're saving by doing that, but those missed calls, that's missed business. So you have to invest, the first year, you got to have money set aside to get you through that first year because nothing's coming in, all of it's going out.
Right.
So once I got past that, I never really paid myself until maybe the third or the fourth year because whatever I made, I put it back into the business to
Right.
grow the business, to invest in the business, to do sponsorships, to do this. And the money came back to me later. But
Right.
you got to invest in your business. That's really important. And that's a struggle. And some people are not prepared fiscally. You always have to keep in mind when you start out the gate, no money's coming in 6 months to a year, depending on what business you're in. If you do lashes, you know you're going to make money right away because
Mm-hmm.
the startup is not big. Clients are going to pay you cash for your business. There's no real, but if you have a business where you have a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
you have to build up your reputation because restaurants are built on repeat customers.
Mm-hmm. For
So
sure.
that's very important that out the gate that your brand, okay, is tight and people understand what you represent and how you do business and you're consistent with it. That's going to make them come back again.
Right.
So it was a struggle for me the first year because like I said, all the money went out. It was coming in, but it started to grow after that first year. So that was tough, but I knew if I stuck with it that, it would come back to me.
Right. Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of people can relate. I, for one, can. So I know
Hmm.
exactly what you're talking about. Thank you. And in terms of the other side of that, the blossoming stage, when you feel like you're succeeding, what does success look like for you and what does it mean to you?
Well, success to me is if I don't do any marketing and I don't go to any realtor events and my clients are still coming.
Mm.
That's when I knew that I did something different. And one of the things that I was unique about my business is that, a lot of people in Manhattan with co-ops and condos, they never had an inspection done. They never thought it was important for apartment style real estate.
You're right.
I did a event with Street Easy. Once a year, Street Easy does a first time home buyer seminar at NYU with over 1,000 people.
Mm.
One of the things I talked about was condos and co-ops needing an inspection done.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, they kept coming to my booth and they kept saying, we didn't know that. I said, well, you're spending $1 million on a condo. You're
Mm-hmm.
spending a half a million. Why wouldn't you have an inspection done to protect yourself as a consumer? And I put it in this atmosphere that I wanted my business to really focus on co-ops and condos. And after a couple of years, it started turning. I started getting calls from the Village, Midtown, up in Harlem, 33rd Street, 58th Street, co-ops, condos. The word got out that, you know what? This lady does a really, really good co-op and condo inspection, and you should get one done. So even some of the realtors started telling me, we never had our clients get inspected. I said, well, you need to check those outlets. There could be moisture in the walls that could turn to mold. It's different things in an apartment style real estate that and you're not spending pennies on this. You're spending 1.2 million. You're spending $800,000. Why would you not? You would buy, and I always used to tell them, okay, we know Mercedes Benz and BMWs are high end vehicles, but you would never buy one without a test drive.
Right.
Why would you buy $1 million condo and not get an inspection done? And they started to turn around, and I started getting more co-ops and condos. They started paying attention and saying, you know what? She's got a point. I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an enlightening moment for me because I educated them that this needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not doing it before.
That's great. And I'm glad you even saying this to me because that is information I need. And I'm sure there are others listening that they need to hear this. So thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
Yes. And our time together is quickly coming to a close. But before we say goodbye, I wanted to find out from you maybe three practical steps you would suggest to someone who's listening to you right now and who wants to get into business today? What are those three things you'd say that most important things they should get done?
Okay, number one, you need to research your industry. You need to research your industry. You need to know everything there is to know about your industry. Number two, you need to look at successful people in your industry and see what they have that you don't have. Maybe they have an MBA. Maybe they have certain certifications. Maybe they have just study people that are successful in your industry and see what they have. What credentials do they have? Because you need to have those credentials eventually if you want to compete at that level. And third, customer service is so important. I can't stress that enough. People do business with people that they like and they feel comfortable with and they feel are knowledgeable and they feel they're going to get the same experience every time. And as a business owner, that's what you have to create.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if I went to Sylvia's up in Harlem and they didn't give me my little cornbread when I sat down. That's part of the experience. So you have to be consistent with everything that you do in your industry. And that's important. And again, study your craft, study successful people, see what certifications they have, see what they are doing that you are not doing. And you always need to do a little something to separate yourself from everyone else.
Hmm. And in terms of the experience, how have you seen your the experience that you offer? How has it changed over the years with more experience and meeting new people, and even for instance realizing like condos they need you quite a bit. So in terms of the experience that you've offered over time, how has that changed?
Well, first of all, your average home inspector doesn't have my experience. I spent 30 years with the New York City Housing Authority. I'm a college grad. I'm organized. I'm a people's person. I'm
Mm-hmm.
an extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
So, I come to the table with a lot, and these are the eyes and the ears and the person that's doing your inspection, as opposed to someone that, decided they wanted to start an inspection industry because they can make money on the side or they retired. I come with a wealth of information. And all that information that I have and my team has, that's the person that's doing your home inspection. So that separates us right out the gate.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. Ooh, and I can tell the passion that you have, and I know who I will be calling when I need an inspection done. So thank you, and I'm sure my family and friends will be calling you as well. I was mentioning earlier about what we're trying to do with the podcast. We're trying to build a community that will support each other. Trying to connect guests on the show with persons who are listening. And I was saying that it would be great if we can give 30 minutes of time to someone listening. And you mentioned that it's something that you already do. So I applaud you for that. So if you can just tell our listeners how they can reach you, knowing that they can get to speak with you if they would like.
Absolutely. I'm always willing to coach a young person or entrepreneur that would like some advice. So they can reach me at 917 670 8500. 836, or they can email me at Jacqueline, JACQUELINE .gathers, at pillartopost.com.
Thank you so much. And in terms of social media, how can they get you on social media?
Oh, they can just Google me on Instagram. My name will come up. They can Google me on Facebook. My name will come up. I'm on TikTok as well. They can go to my LinkedIn page and put my name in and I'll come up right away.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for sharing that. So please reach out to Jacqueline and let her know that you heard about her through the podcast. We'd very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for being with us, and talk to you next time. You'll be growing and building, so I know we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, a CME Accounting LLC podcast. Please subscribe and be on the lookout for our next episode. If you'd like to share any feedback with us, please email us at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com.